everyone, it's Hannah here from Blue Ferret Boarding, and as this is June and it is Pride Month, we thought it would be the perfect time to talk about all the rainbow of colours that you can get ferrets in. All the rainbow, the colours of the ferret colourings. So let's start with our lovely Bang Bang here. This is Crash Bang Bandicoot, to give him his full title, and this is Daddy's boy. And I've got Crash Bang fur all over me. And Crash Bang is what we would call a polecat. In America, they tend to call them Sable, and to be honest, Sable is a better term for them, because when you say polecat, a lot of people automatically think that it's an actual polecat, as in the species, where we are meaning that the colouring of the ferret is that similar to a polecat, where a polecat is its own thing and it is a wild animal. Do not get the two confused, that's all I'm saying. And you can have ferret polecat crosses, which we're not too, it's not brilliant, we're not happy about that particularly here at Blue Ferret, just that's our stance. But they tend to be called EUs, and an EU will generally be a ferret crossed with a polecat. And you have to be they're quite obvious of what they are, and you have to be careful with them because obviously they aren't as domesticated. We'll have a wriggly bum here because he's just been woken up, so he probably needs the toilet. So I'll be quick on this one. So this is Crash Bang. He is what we call, I'd probably call him a light poly or a light sable, as opposed to a dark. The reasons for that are he's got that lovely pink nose. Nose. He's got quite a light mask on him. As you can see, he's got brown eyes, generally brown. They're not like as black as they could be, like big black currants or something. You can see his tummy underneath, it's quite creamy. It's a white or a creamy under here. And under here you can see it's all quite light as well. If you can see that, I'll try and do that this way. So you can see under here, his undercoat is quite light, but the actual guard hairs, so what we call these longer hairs here, these guard hairs, are actually darker, but underneath he's got this lightness. And both of his legs have this, both of his legs, whatever, all four of his legs have this darker look to them here. So he's almost been dipped into some paint and taken out again. So the tail, the legs have been dipped into the paint and then he's come out again. And the main thing about any poly, what type of poly or sable it is this typical bandit mask. And this is the typical mask that you expect a ferret to have, and why many ferrets are called bandit, because of this little bandit mask that they have. Some are more prevalent than others, and Bangs' here isn't that prevalent. I'm going to put him back because he's getting a bit twitchy because he's ready to go for the toilet, and we'll have a look at a dark poly next. So this here is Zeno, who I think you met last month. Now the thing is, there's a lot of variation in the terminology that we use. Just within the UK there's a lot of variation, let alone over the rest of the world. So you will find that if you're going to sites to buy, for instance, a professionally bred ferret, especially Angora, you will find that each organisation will have their own definition with pictures of each ferret type, so that you can be sure that you're both working from the same language. So what you might find is that what I'm talking about, you will look at my ferret and go, he's not that, he's not this, he's one of these. So it is a case of, you know what, there's a lot of variation in it, and of, you know, each ferret's different. He might have a bit of this and a bit of this. So this is what we call them. So I would call Zeno a dark poly, a dark sable, a dark polecat colouring. Again, not a polecat. The reason for me, the obvious ones are that he has that lovely dark nose, as you can see. Look at the camera, dude. Thank you. He's got that lovely dark nose. There is a tiny bit of white on it, if you can see that. But otherwise it's quite dark. You can see, compared to Bangs, he's got a much more defined mask, lower down, it's much darker, and then he's got, in the mask, what makes the mask is this lighter bit here, so in actual fact it's negative mask, and that the mask bit you could think of as being the white, the creamy bit here. And then he's a lot darker than Bang's. His legs are similar darkness to Bang's, possibly a little bit darker, but you can see over the body again he's got this creamy underside here still, but it's not as light as Bang Bang's was. When I do that, it isn't as light. You can still see there's more darkness, and the guard hairs are darker. So that is one of the reasons. And his undercoat, for all there is a bit of creaminess, it's certainly not as creamy as Bang Bang's was. Again, it's a bit darker. What you can see with Zeno, even that he's not that old a ferret, he's starting to get a lot of white fur coming in as well, which is lightening his colouring. I don't know if you can see that, almost like old man white fur coming through. He's not that old. That's just how it happens, and it could be that it'll go again next season when they molt. And that's the other point as well. Ferrets can actually change their colourings, and to an extent their markings almost, when they molt different seasons, and they'll suddenly the whole thing will change a little bit. And Bang Bang has certainly changed over the years, his colourings. So this is Zeno, and I would call him a dark Poley, dark Sable. Okay, so this here is either Archer or Barry. I just grabbed one, and I'm not entirely sure. I'll be able to tell you once he's woken up and from his behaviour. I wanted to talk very briefly about these guys because hopefully you can see that they're actually slightly browner. Can you tell that this isn't as dark here? And actually the face, there's more of a brown to it than just the greyness that you would have on Bang Bang. So this dude, you can see his nose, it's kind of pink, but it's got a T on it. So the T on this one is generally part of the suggestion that actually we would call him a pale Poley still, even though he's this browner colour, he's still technically a pale Poley, partly because of that T shape on the nose, partly because of that lovely cream underbit here. And as you can see, if I do that, he has got quite dark guard hairs, but underneath it is still quite light. Can you see that there? It's still quite light. He's got that slightly more pronounced mask than Bang Bang, but as you can see, it's nowhere near as dark as Zeno's. So it's kind of another pale Poley, but he is more of a, I'm going to use the word chocolate, but chocolate is its own colour, but we tend to use chocolate for more Angora ferrets. So I'm not using the term chocolate as a colouring. What I'm trying to say is that his actual, to use it as a colour word, it is a bit more of a chocolate colouring that he has. So this is Barry or Archer. Not entirely sure which. So finally then, this is another dark Poley, dark Sable, dark Polecat. This is Roger, and again, you can see he's got pretty much a black nose. Again, there are little bits of white in this dude, but on the whole it's black. He's got a very black mask, but actually for Roger, you can see that that's actually extending down onto his nose now, where with Zeno it didn't extend down that far. So for a lot of people, they say to us, how can you tell one from another? And to be honest, a lot of the time it's due to their body mass. So I can tell that this is a chunkier ferret, and I can tell that this is Roger because Zeno is actually a lot thinner, a lot lighter. He's not as chunky here. And as I've mentioned before, Zeno has a lot more white down here, so that's how I know it's Zeno rather than Roger, where Roger is this dark Poley without any white in him. He's got quite a lot of dark there. He looks like he's been dipped, a bit like all Poleys, looks like he's been dipped in darker paint. He's got again that lighter underneath. So this is why he's not actually like a black Poley or anything like that, because a black Poley, all of these underfurs would also be black, but he is just a dark Poley from the point of view of these guard hairs are a lot darker. He's got the dark nose, he's got this darkness here. And as you can see, this mask is less of a mask all the way across, but more like two little bits of white, almost like a raccoon, I suppose, on by his eyes. So around his eyes, and little bits of dots. I know, dude, little bits of dots above his eyes. and then these bits round, but he doesn't have the full mask over there. I know, dude. I know, dude. I know. And again, a lot of them you can see, I mean, this is the different part of it, but this is not colourings, this is more to do with patterns which can change. And we can talk about another time, but that there, he's got a tiny bit of a bib, but not a full bib. As you can see, he's got that there. He's got white under there, and then he's got this little bit of white there, where some of them will have a big full bib. And that's to do with their patternings. But anyway, so this is Rog. Say bye-bye, Rog. Bye-bye, Rog.